In this video, I'm going to be talking about the pros and cons in planting a chicken garden and how to use chickens in your garden. And stay tuned till the end because the last two are something that everyone would think is priceless. All right, without further ado, let's get into it. So if you raise chickens and you're not incorporating them into your garden maintenance, you might be missing out on a fantastic win-win. Chicken gardens are more common than one might think. Let's start with considering some of the pros to matching up your chicken flock with a vegetable garden, herb garden. Composted chicken manure, which is very high in nitrogen content. It's considered one of the best fertilizers you can use. It's called black gold for good reason, and it's free. The other pro is if you have pests, chickens can help with that. With a preferred diet of beetles, grubs, slugs, aphids, as well as ticks in the lawn, chickens can eliminate a large percentage of pests that plague your garden. Number 3, chickens also specialize in tilling. While constantly scratching and digging as they look for bugs, chickens will leave soil turned and aerated in record time. Number 4, chickens are terrific company as well as a comedic distraction for those hours spent weeding in the garden. Enjoy their soft coos and chatter as they hang out beside you. Then throw a bunch of weeds aside and watch the hens come running from every direction to dive into them. And lastly, the garden can help feed your chickens with pooled weeds, plants, and vegetables that have been compromised. Now let's get into the cons. Again, these are just a little bit overview. I will go more in depth on the pros here in just a bit and why they're priceless. So the cons are, number 1, seedlings that have started growing seem to be mission number 1 and chickens will pull them up. Number 2, sown seed will be eaten. That's just a matter of fact. It's not if, it's when. Number 3, if you have soft soils, chicken will burrow and dust bath, creating pits and holes throughout your garden. I've noticed a more rocky clay soil deters them. Now, number 4 is more of a question. Is your garden bearing fruit? Good, because your chickens will partake in that fruit, eating the fruit, stem, and leaf. If the root is something to be desired, they'll also dig that up too. And the last con, if you have mulch, it will not deter chickens. They love scratching around through mulch. With every matchup, though, there must be effort put forth to enable success. Chickens in gardens not properly managed can also be ripe or a recipe for disaster and failure. So let's get a little bit more into the weeds here for each pro. The first one, free chicken manure. It's a fantastic addition to your garden. Fresh chicken manure contains 0.8% potassium, 0.4 to 0.5% phosphorus, and 0.9 to 1.5% nitrogen. Just one single chicken produces approximately 8 to 11 pounds of manure monthly. Here you get generous amounts of fantastic fertilizer as a byproduct. Recycling at its best with the following catch: it must be properly composted. Composting manure and bedding from your chicken coop is a process that takes months to complete and requires layering of manure and brown matter such as leaves, grass clippings, or hay, and then diligent weekly turning the pile so it could cook. In order to make the manure and compost usable, microorganisms need to decompose the organic materials to free up the essential nutrients. Time and effort to turn the compost weekly is essential for this, but with questionable herbicide contaminated fertilizer, I always recommend making your own. Without following the process carefully, the very high nitrogen content in the partially or non-decomposed manure can actually burn leaves and roots and kill exactly the plants you're trying to nurture. Now, following an established composting procedure, then patiently allowing the compost to cure for several weeks will result in huge payoffs for your soil. The cost-benefit analysis considered. If you're not willing to put in the time or work for manure compost to become fertilizer, shortcuts will probably lead to the negative outcome of burned plants. If you're willing to put the time and effort, then the resulting black gold will be worth your effort. The second pro, pest control. As far as pests go, it seems like a no-brainer to have chickens wander around the garden eating detrimental beetles and slugs, then go on their merry way. Again, this requires attention in order to be successful. Chickens around the garden, perfect. Chickens inside the garden, maybe not so much. One problem people encounter when allowing free-range chickens in the garden is a rapid disappearance of seedlings. Seedlings are very attractive, low-hanging fruit for chickens. Again, precisely the plants you're looking to nurture and grow can be cut down in short order if hungry chickens are allowed to run amok within the garden. A compromise in this case would be a length of chicken wire or other physical barriers that would separate your chickens from your plants. It can be temporary, it can only be a few feet high, it can be inexpensive and ugly, but something at least to keep your chickens from tender and tasty seedlings is mandatory. After a period of time when the plants are larger and stronger and have no fruit yet, it might be a good time to introduce the birds to your garden. What I've also seen people do is chicken tunnels. They build basically using wire fencing. They're able to build a tunnel, and it basically creates like a no man's land for bugs and insects as they try to get to your plants. When I prepare the soil, the chickens are right alongside feasting. A worthwhile related practice would be to set your chickens out in the garden area prior to planting. This will enable the chickens to pick around for weeds, seeds, slugs, beetles, and other pests inside the garden walls, a kind of prep work before planting time. Soil aeration, which I'll go through here in a second, will also be enabled at this point as the chickens scratch the surface and search for these pesky treats. So yeah, let's get into free rototilling and aeration. Instinctively, chickens are programmed to walk around, scratch up the soil, looking for what tasty tidbit may lie below. Using this to your advantage can produce a tilled and aerated garden area devoid of a large percentage of pests and ready for planting. If you've chosen a new garden bed location, placing some chicken feed over the desired surface will bring them over, scratching and pecking, enough to loosen and break up the soil for proper aeration. In addition to this, if this is done sometime before actual planting, then adding a small layer of compost over the soil first will even allow good mixing of fertilizer into the bed as well. The eventual result will be a prepared garden bed with healthy soil for your plants. As with any other chicken-directed chore, during the time it takes for the work to be done, the chickens should either be supervised or one should take care to make sure the chickens head back to safety if danger approaches. Having an open area with chickens intent on looking down, scratching the soil, and nowhere to run if a hawk, a dog, fox, or other predator sneaks up could be a recipe for disaster and unnecessary culling of your flock. Supervision or a safe area for the chickens to easily get to during perceived danger is always mandatory if the flock is out doing your garden work, and like a good boss, we should always make sure this is the case. And the last pro, before I do that, thanks for listening. If you enjoy this content, please be sure to like the video and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Also subscribe to our website, thehappychickencoop.com. If you subscribe using the link in the description, you'll receive a free ebook on the 10 best egg-laying chicken breeds. All right, what you've been waiting for is that they're always a laugh. Chickens, as one may observe daily on the internet, are delightful to watch. Not only are they inherently amusing as they walk, run, skip, fly, dirt bathe, and pinball around all day, but their curiosity and different individual personality traits can keep us amused for hours. Like children, chickens are curious and will follow you around the yard, climb on things that they're checking out, including a stooping adult bent down to weed, and will search around if they have lost their friends. Any time spent outside watching chickens be chickens can be a peaceful, stress-relieving bit of contentment, but again, as is the rule for children, supervision should not be far away. An unattended chicken can get into trouble just as easily as an unattended child. If you like this video, please be sure to check out this one over here where I talk about the environmental and garden benefits of keeping backyard chickens. That's going to do it for us here at the Happy Chicken Coop. Thanks for listening. If you find our content interesting, if you learned something new, like the video, subscribe, and with that, I hope you have a great day. We'll talk to you soon.